Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And for this month's book club, I guess just in general, kind of our theme as we're choosing things out, we are running with childhood favorites.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. So our pick for this month's book club is one of my favorites, actually. I've talked about it before, and I've referenced it many times. I've got a copy of it here somewhere. It is the 1987 Judy Blume book, Just As Long As We're Together. I love this book, and rereading it, or actually I was listening to it, threw back so many thoughts. I was like, oh my God, there's so many food memories in this, by the way. Also that jumped out. But Anney, have you read many Judy Blume books?
It's my first.
This is your first?
It was my first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you never watched like Tales of the Fourth Grade Nothing, or was it fourth grade, fifth grade Nothing? Or Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret? None of those?
Nope.
Wow. I guess it was a little bit out of your generation, I would say.
I'm not sure how I missed it because I was a very vociferous reader. I've read like everything in the library, so I'm not entirely sure how this missed my purview. But I think I was thinking about this when we were picking our childhood favorites, and I was like, I was just so into like sci-fi and fantasy, and
yeah,
I think I really went hard in that area and missed a lot of other stuff.
So what were you reading like in seventh grade?
I was reading like Ursula Le Guin, Tamora Pierce.
I have no idea who those people are.
Yeah, they're like big sci-fi fantasy authors.
Okay.
And they would have like long series of, like your four friends and you're fighting evil and stuff like that. Yeah.
So we did, when I was not reading things like this, I've talked about, because we almost chose a Babysitter's Club book. I love the Babysitter's Club. I love Nancy Drew, both the old and the new editions. Also love the Hardy Boys. But I also was really competitive. We talked about our accelerated reader. And there's a section in this book, and we're not going to talk about it, but just so you know, that they read Gone with the Wind. And I don't know, they may have been the influence for me to read Gone with the Wind, because I did, and I got like 50 points, which is a huge amount for accelerated reader. Which, by the way, not a great book for middle schoolers to read. It really hyped up a bad era. Really romanticized enslavement. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's actually kind of gross now that I look back on it. But, you know, learn and grow.
You were in that AR. You wanted those points.
I needed those
points. You would get the big books.
I got that. I read Les Mis. I think I read a Tolstoy. I did not do well, but I got points. That's all I cared about.
American Tragedy. I read American Tragedy.
Did you really?
The Lord of the Rings books?
I did not read that till I was out of college.
They were some solid points, Samantha.
I bet. I missed out. And you know what, though? If you followed the movie, you kind of did, unless they had the characters they missed. The movie goes pretty well. Anyway, man, childhood memories of accelerated reader. Yes. I got those points. I was first. Shaylin was my nemesis, I guess. We were friends, but at the same time, we were frenemies because we were always competing in band and accelerator reader. Man, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Memories.
Yeah, it kind of relates to this whole conversation.
Yeah. So, all of that say, I guess for me, the one thing you have probably figured out is that I am a sucker for tales of friendships and coming of age. Like, I love them. And being in this time frame for this book, it was a hit for me. Judy Blume, who is a household name, I know for so many, including myself, has written a lot of classics, as we already talked about. Ramona. All of those classics. I only read one Ramona book, and in that book, just remember her description. And again, I know I've talked about this before, about pot roast. And her being so excited about the fact that a crock pot was cooking her pot roast. And when they opened the door, that they would have that smell that would just infiltrate her whole body. She'd be so, and then when they came home, it was cold. There was no smell because they forgot to plug it up and turn it on. But that was so visceral. I don't even remember which book that was.
There was a lot of food. You're right in this.
It got me. The turkey sandwich.
Oh,
the glob of peanut butter. One thing Judy Blume can do is make your imagination go wild with that. But there you go. Again, for me, this book was meant so much more for me. There was so much to it. It had a book that had somewhat of my representation. And I've told y'all before, as a child, I clung to anything. Like watching Brandy being Cinderella meant so much to me. As a person of color, it had nothing to do with the fact, obviously she is a Black woman with talent that I would never have. But for some reason, it felt so much more real just to see someone that was not white, the standard beauty of white. Also, Asian dude, come on. All those to say that this book had that representation, an adopted Vietnamese character. And it didn't matter that she was Vietnamese. I knew she was an Asian girl that was adopted, and I was like, yes. What? And she was seen as like a fun character. And I love that. So I feel like there are so many of us who really went through it in all of this, trying to find that kind of representation, but also like about that friendship, about growing in friendship or losing friendships. We had a lot of feels. Am I right? Did you have this drama?
Oh, yeah. It definitely brought me back to these kinds of fights you would have with your friends. The misunderstandings you would have when you make a new friend and the jealousies kind of form. And then the dynamic changes. Yes.
The whispering, and you're wondering if they're talking about you.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't they invite me? Does this
Jessica, I'm talking to you. I'm okay. It's not,
Clearly.
I don't feel a lot of feels. But anyway, yes, this had so much to it. I feel like Judy Blume did an amazing job in really speaking to young girls. So let's go ahead and just jump into this with the plot. So obviously this is very like squished in because there's a lot of things happening. And we'll probably talk a lot of the details in some of the themes or thoughts that we're having about it. And by the way, there is another part of the book. Here's to You, Rachel, I believe, is the book. And it's about Rachel. Like she's the protagonist in that one. I can't remember if that's the before or after because this is the only one I read. I love this one so much that it had my heart. Which I also believe was a Netflix show or movie or something. They turned it into a film somehow.
Huh.
Anyway, so with that, we have Stephanie Hirsch, the protagonist for this specific story. Stephanie is about to enter her 7th grade. And y'all, I hated the 7th grade. Did you like 7th grade?
No, it's literally the worst grade.
Yes, it really is. I feel like that's universal. Anyway, back to. So she's excited to start, but nervous. She and her best friend, Rachel, are ready to tackle this year. And at the same time, we're getting introduced to Allison, a cute adoptee from Vietnam who just moved to the area from California. So she moved to Connecticut with her family. Stephanie is on a journey of love, friendship, growth, all the things. Also, we have a funny insert about Richard Gere poster, who she has named Benjamin Moore. Yes, the paint, and her world at large, which I think is hysterical because you and I have talked about the fact that people did grow up with like all these hunks, as they imply, and having posters, and I've never had posters, but you did.
Oh yeah, my whole walls, my ceiling, covered in posters. And I also want to say I connected to her being like, I'm not attracted to Richard Gere. I'm attracted to Benjamin Moore.
Exactly.
Who is my boyfriend.
Right. Has nothing to do with Richard Gere as a person. He is Benjamin Moore. I don't care. I don't know where he's from. I don't know who he is. I just know he's good looking and he is my boyfriend named Benjamin Moore.
Yes. And it was a younger picture of Richard Gere, by the way.
Right.
Yes.
Which I'm wondering if our younger listeners, if we have any younger listeners, know who Richard Gere is and why he was so phenomenal back in then.
Yeah, I recently encountered with a Gen Zer where I was like, oh, wow, you don't know who... Oh.
I have a feeling. Because he hasn't been relevant for a very long time. I don't know. Since Chicago, I don't know if he's been anything else.
I'm sure he has been, but not in a... I'm sure.
He's going to come in as a grandpa in some series. Anyway, moving on. So she has entered the world of what is known as junior high school, which is that still a thing? Because now it'd be middle school. Yeah.
I don't think I ever knew a junior high school. It was always middle school for us. But...
Yeah. This is 1987, y'all, just so you know. She has hopes and dreams of her future. Her mother is a travel agent. Her father travels for work and is currently in Hawaii and then goes on to California, but at this beginning. And her younger brother, Bruce, who is annoying but lovable and wants to save the world. His character, I did not appreciate him enough in my youth, because wow. And they have actually recently moved into a different house in the same little area. So it's kind of to note. Stephanie, navigates school, where she and Allison are in similar classes or the same classes. Rachel is more advanced and is not in as many classes. I think they have gym and lunch together, but she seems to be doing okay. Stephanie and her friends get a crush on an older boy who they name as Jeremy Dragon because he wears a dragon jacket, which I think is hysterical because I'm pretty sure we had a kid named Jeremy that I was really into when I was in middle school, or I was in 9th grade, and I think he was like in 11th grade, and I was like, oh, he's so cute.
We had a Jeremy too,
Did you?
I accidentally tripped him once and he busted his nose.
Oh
and
my
I felt
God.
bad.
Eddie.
I didn't mean to do it.
That's a different lore. That is a completely different lore on that one. Anyway, but yes, they have all these future hopes and plans as it's going about. They try to navigate the friendship as a trio. Allison says something about, you're my best friend. And Stephanie's stuck and be like, but Rachel's my best friend. She's like, you can have more than one, which I think you can have more than one. But it isn't always that smooth. Rachel and Stephanie seem to drift a bit due to their different personalities. Rachel is very organized and very gifted, as where Stephanie, it's average. There's nothing wrong with her life, but she's not that level. She learns a lot of words from Rachel. Also, Rachel is very focused on getting accomplished and winning and being the best. That's the whole thing. It's hard to compete with. And though everything seems to be okay, we find out that Stephanie's dad has actually been requesting to be relocated to the other side of the country due to him and her mom being separated. Trial separation, which I feel like is such an outdated word. A lot of things.
I feel like a trial separation is just...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot for a kid in middle school to be like, because that implies you might get back together.
Yeah, especially the way she navigates that, because the entire time until she this breaks, her mind is they're so in love, it's gross. But they miss each other, and to be slapped in the face with that, wait, what? When did this happen? Mm-hmm. So all that goes down. Insert a lot of teenage feelings here for Stephanie, who is in both denial and anger stages. She decides not to tell her friends, thinking this would pass, which only makes her angrier because she keeps taking in and lying, having to lie and make up all these scenarios, making her angrier. Also meaning she is taking it out on food, which, by the way, this is how outdated this is when she talks about the way that for this teenager. And I'm like, oh no. Why are we causing such eating disorders? Anyway, her and Stephanie seem to be drifting, her being Rachel, apart, and Stephanie, and Allison seem to be getting closer, as we see from this point. After a while, we also have the dealing with boys. Eric, a class clown, is obviously Allison's type. They flirt, they giggle. We have Peter, who is a shy, skinny boy, but the son of a doctor, which I love that imagination of hers being they talk about me. They talk about all the things I don't want to talk about.
My period.
Oh my God. And he seems to have taken interest in her. And then we have the entrance of the new kid, Max, who has caught Rachel's eye. He's tall and all these things. Ooh, okay, from Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas. But as things go, Stephanie and Rachel have an epic friend fight, all about betrayal and hurt feelings, and it finally comes out that Stephanie's parents are separated and she's lied to her friends about it. Before that, though, it turned out that Rachel had lied about being in advanced math class with Jeremy Dragon, by the way, and Allison had lied about her dog, who she has previously said could talk so she could make friends. I get it. You take some tales and then you hope everybody's okay. It turns out also her mother is a celebrity, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. They're having to figure that part out. And with all that, everything goes not so great. Also, at the same time, Stephanie's very upset with her father because her father seems so nonchalant. She goes to see him at Christmas, and then he introduces to a girlfriend, which I have to say the dad was for that. Begs him to come see him, and then just brings this girl along that they don't know, freshly understanding that they've just separated. That's...
Yeah, no warning.
That is... Yeah, that was all on him. Stephanie was right to be upset. Good on her. So all of the while, Stephanie's birthday comes about, coincidentally on the day of the 7th grade dance, which they had raised money for. Sadie's brownie. Sadie is the grandmother of Allison, another side character. Also, she starts her period that same day, and she gets her first kiss. Big day for her. Big day. Oh, and by the way, Allison also gets her first kiss because Eric planned out this whole thing where all the 3 dudes would get with the 3 girls, and they all did the, hey, look, Orion's one of my... I have a feeling they didn't know what that was because I barely knew what that was. Orion's belt.
Oh, no. I mean, maybe.
I don't even know I could figure... the only thing I can ever see is the Big Dipper.
Yeah, the Big and the Little Dipper. I feel like
I don't even know. I can only see one of them. I don't know which one, but just the one.
Okay.
But again, after some drama and life happenings, Rachel and Stephanie make up. Also, Allison. Oh, before that though, I forgot this. During a bad spell of a flu, which knocks out half the attendance at school, we also find out that Allison's mother is pregnant, who could not get pregnant previously, which shakes Allison to her core, saying that she's not going to be wanted anymore. They're going to have a little boy and all these things. She talks about running away to Paris to find her a biological family. Unfortunately, Allison has the flu and is knocked out for like the next 2 weeks. But it's okay because everything works out, as I said. Some big conversations happen. Rachel and Stephanie finally make up after talking through the fact that they felt like they were losing each other. They decided to call everybody close friends instead of best friends, which I still think is odd because even the necklaces, have you seen them? You can put them in 3 parts. Those little heart necklaces that says best friends, you can get them in 3s. I've seen them. They're wonderful. Well, do people use those anymore? The little best friend necklaces? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. Listeners write in. I actually recently got one, but it was Star Wars themed, so I feel like
yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So with all of that, drifting and having different interests, adding a third, they finally do make up. They kind of talk through some things, apologize about things, and decide to all come together for a little bit. And at the same time, Stephanie's father decides that he misses everybody and does want to come back to the East Coast, not to move in with them, and they don't know where this is going to go, but he's coming back. And that's how he ends. Oh, by the way, Bruce, who again is one of the younger brother, wins a contest because he talks about like no war, about peace and such, because he had constant nightmares about nuclear war.
Yeah,
this young little boy.
He kind of becomes a celebrity for a minute.
He does.
Mm-hmm. He goes to the White House.
Gets interviewed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that is the entire story. Again, there's so many things in here that brought my memories about the book. I was like, oh my God, I forgot this part. Oh my God, I forgot this part. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. So they talk about different themes, which of course, obviously friendship is number one. And how it feels to grow together. I will say, like, middle school is hard. I feel like middle school was the hardest for me. 7th grade was even harder. I want to say that's like a hard blank. Puberty hits hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I was thinking back on like why some of this resonated so much with me, it is those kind of, you don't have the words to express necessarily the emotions you're feeling. And you're kind of talking about these things with your girlfriends, like periods or guys being attracted to you. But I don't know, at least for me, it felt like I had to keep up because I was actually not really interested in guys. So it was like, I don't want to be uncool. So here we go. So it felt like a lot of pressure. Like that adolescent stage felt like a stage where I was still holding on to something that I really loved, but there was a lot of change. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel very stable and I didn't really know what to do. And I was just trying to blend in.
Right. My best friend at the time, in I want to say elementary school and then first middle school, was 2 years older than me. We were friends because of church. And we drifted real hard because her like desires for boys were completely different from mine. Again, I had a very religious, like, I have to behave. There was no rebellion in my body except for cursing. I loved cursing. That was my only form of rebellion. And people really thought I was bad because I cursed, but I did nothing else. I never did like drugs. I didn't go party. I couldn't sneak out. I was petrified of being caught. Like, there was something, well, it may be the adopted thing being like, I have to be perfect because I was too miserable not to be. And I saw too many bad things to be anything else. So for me, like, we drifted apart because of those reasons. And then I remember her telling me that I needed to grow up, which is the sentence that Rachel says, but not because of, boy. Well, it was because of boys, but because she was maturing, like talking about having sex. I was like, ew. With that dude, like, and I was like in middle school, I was like, why not? You know, people have different experiences, but I would stand on that. That's too young for me to acknowledge what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I had fully hit puberty. Oh, I did. I hit puberty pretty young. I think you did too, right?
4th grade is when I got my period.
Oh, you were way younger than me. I was 2 years later. I was in 6th grade. So there was a whole lot of like trying to think through. And my parents, I don't know why books. Did you have this whole level of like, oh my God, you're a woman now. Welcome to the world thing?
When you got your period or just in general?
And when you got your period, when you started your period.
I didn't really, and it's probably because I was so young.
Maybe.
I've told this story before, but I got my period and I thought you only got it once. And when it happened again, I sobbed. So clearly my parents didn't even tell me about that.
Yeah.
And I told other people that too. And they love to bring it up to this day. And I'm like, yeah, well, I believed it too. No, I didn't really get it.
Right. We're jumping into the next thing, but yeah, with the friendships, the fact that we outgrew and did things. When I got into the 6th grade, I finally established a great friend group, and there was 3 of us actually. That happened like 7th, 8th grade, and because my other friend brought her in, oh man, it really was the same. Anyway, that we all became friends, and weird stuff happened in high school, other weird things, but like in middle school, we were pretty thick as thieves. I felt like they had a little more expenditure than I did, so I didn't get to join as many things. I started working in the 7th grade while they were doing tennis and track. I did do cheerleading for like a year. Mm-hmm. I did not do great. Just FYI. Anyway, but friendships grew. I will say I'm not friends with any of them. I am good friends with one guy. He and I are really still like good friends and have talked. And I've known him since the 3rd grade. So I do hold on to that friendship. That is nice. I know you and Katie, as well as Marissa. Were you all the way back into middle school?
Yes. I have a group of 5 friends that we've been friends since middle school. And some of us since elementary school.
Aww.
We did lose a friend. Did drift apart, friend arguments. But, you know, reading this, I maybe one of them will disagree with me, but I remember I always felt so empathetic for new kids.
Yeah.
That I would always go up and introduce myself, and I was like, this is our table at lunch, and you can sit here. And a lot of times people would move on. They would find their friend group after a while. But that's how I met a lot of them, where I would just be like, hey,
hang with me.
You seem cool. Let's hang out. And that's kind of what happens in here with Allison and Stephanie, where Stephanie's just like, new kid in the neighborhood. Let me go talk to her.
Hello, you seem interesting. Your dogs
can talk. Cool. Okay, we're friends.
Believing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I can't remember because we did grow into a pretty big group, but there would be like moments of like us against them. And I can't remember. I feel like that happened for both sides, where I would be on the outs and they would be on the outs. It was a weird, it was an odd clique thing. We would never bully each other. That was never a thing. I don't remember that thing happening, especially among the girl groups. But you had like a big friend group, and then you had a smaller, like the cluster.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like, okay, this is a big group, but then you have your intimate friend group. And it was very obvious. And then you were nice to each other on the other ways.
Yeah. We definitely had I'll admit, I had 2 of my friends got another friend group. And I was still a friend group, but they had another friend group.
Yeah.
And I was really jealous of that friend group. I also wanted nothing to do with that friend group. So there was nothing to do
Right.
about it, but be like annoyed.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
like we definitely like my closest friends, I would go to drama and they went to do sports. Like it was
Mhm.
definitely interesting level of like differences. Oh, friendships. But this is what we were talking about with the growing up. This is the next theme about like things like periods. As we had already brought up, like it was the way she's like, please don't announce this. Please don't do that, because she thought that the teacher was going to announce it, but they made it a big deal about like Rachel already starting her period and being womanly and having breasts. Also, the fact that the dude who had hairy legs obviously means he had sexual experience, which I've never heard that as a thing.
I haven't heard
I don't think
that
I've
either.
never heard of that outside of this book. So I feel like Judy Blume was like, this must be a thing. I love you, Judy Blume. But like there was that conversation about sexuality and such, which I did think was funny. But like the whole like celebrating her mom coming in crying, being like, you're a woman now. Again, that's never been a thing. My mother came in with like, this is what you're going to need. Here's a pad. Good luck. But that was it. Like there was not anything celebratory. And also I immediately started hurting.
Yeah, that's pretty much what my mom did. She was like, drink some water. I'll get you some food. Just, you're not dying.
Right.
Because I was like, what's happening? And yeah, just rested in pain for a while.
Yeah. I remember my experience with a tampon was on a trip in the 7th grade, because I was like, I can't wear a pad in the ocean. I cannot wear a pad.
Yeah.
And we had swimsuits on. So that was the most painful things. And when it was so hurting so bad, which was at that time's best friend's mom who was telling me about it, or telling me how to use one, she was like, if it hurts that bad, you're not doing this right. Take it out. I was like, oh, okay. I finally did get used to them. Love the fact that I don't have to have them now, but like it was a whole thing. It's a whole process, and we don't talk enough about them.
No, I asked my mom, whom I adore, to help me, like, just tell me how to put in a tampon. And she's like, sure. Never heard from her again. Never.
To this day, don't talk about tampons.
We've never come back to that. We've never acknowledged that that never happened.
I don't know. When did tampons come through? Because I don't feel like it was popular during my mother's time, nor my sister's time. It was more popularized in my time.
That could be true. I don't know. I know that there was a stereotype, because I never really I would use tampons if I absolutely had to, but otherwise I would use pads. And there was a stereotype that meant that you were like a prude. I remember that.
Oh, really? I remember saying people were scared because they thought that you were no longer a virgin. So that was a stereotype.
I feel like I was getting the opposite, where it was like, that's a bad thing, you're not a virgin.
And because I came from a very like church world, it was like, oh, it's a bad thing if yeah. Type of thing.
Which, by the way, none of this is, I hope your listeners
this is absolutely absurd in itself. Yeah, so apparently the popularity really began in the 60s, 70s, which is interesting. Because I thought it wouldn't be, because my parents, I don't think my family used that much. I think they may have, and I didn't realize. In the 1980s is when they had the TSS, the toxic shock syndrome. The people were backing away. So maybe that's what it was around that time. But interestingly, again, like, and that was from goauntflow.com, which I think is a tampon.
Probably.
Company.
That would make sense.
But you know, that is very interesting in itself, because like trying to figure all that and navigate that. But you know what I was really mad in that scene about? The fact that she had to pay for a damn pad, and because she didn't have money on her, she couldn't have to ask somebody to go pay for it. I'm like, what the? I will say I did go to a nurse, because I did start at school. I have vivid memories of that, and they gave me a panty liners there. Like the nurse gave it to me for free, which like she was at a dance, so she couldn't. They weren't accessible. But I'm like, that really makes me angry for her. Yeah.
Yeah. And luckily, like, one of the teachers was like, I got you.
Yeah.
I'll be here if you have any questions. But that was such a different experience than mine, because they also in their friend group had this promise, like, when you get your period, we'll all tell each other. And I had gotten my period first in my friend group. and we didn't have any such promise. But I have to say, after people got their period, they would call me and they would be like, "What do I do?" Oh man.
What's so funny is because I was at school, I knew. I told them immediately. I'm like, I just started my period. What do I do?
I was wearing white pants.
Oh, that's the fear. I remember having a pad in my cool faux leather jacket that was in style, the color, the dyed ones. I had the dark hunter green one, and I had a pad in one. And a boy that liked me took my coat and put his hand in that pocket.
Yep.
Oh, tragedies.
These are the tragedies of the middle school, high
the
school
dude
years.
Like the dude's face. Oh, Christopher. Going back to some of the themes with the growing up, the weird fat shaming, I was like, oh, this is where I think it has not dated well. There's so many things, but this was one of the worst parts that I was like, the way that they're going after her, the mom's like, I'm taking you to a doctor, all these things. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, she had a lot of like stress and emotions, and what she was doing was trying to make herself sick. Like she kind of says the point, like I just wanted to think about that. So that's a whole different conversation in itself. But the way they were handling this is so not cute, and it was so alarming that I'm like, wow, I really thought this chapter was not a big deal growing up, but reading it as an adult, like, no, diet culture in the 80s were so bad. No wonder we all had so many body shaming issues.
Yeah. I feel like we run into this so often in our kind of picks, our book clubs, our movie picks, because it was such a big thing. It was just, I have plenty of examples, I'm sure you do too, in my family where they'd be like, you should shop at the maternity ward, or just like these things that they just felt was totally normal to say to a child.
Yeah.
Who's probably already insecure and stressed about things. And just like her whole, I felt a lot for her when she was shopping for the dress, and then when she was having issues with like her pantyhose and like the bathing suit.
Yeah.
I just related to that so much because I remember being in like the dressing room and thinking, it looked terrible.
The safety pin, that might have been a few years ago for me. Come on now.
Yes. Yeah. At Dragon Con sometimes. Just get that safety pin and hope for the best.
I mean, I was definitely one of those things where, like the boy calling her El Chunko, I was like, at what point is that funny? And Allison, you dropped the ball. You should be defending your friend. How dare you say such things? Because that is rude. Also, the jazzercise, which apparently is still around.
I believe it.
It's still around. I think there's a whole studio somewhere in Atlanta. I think I passed it not too long ago. It's a jazzercise studio. And I was like, wow. And I say this as a person who loves Zumba, but our Zumba classes are a little different. But just saying, I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what that's like.
Was it Stephanie? Didn't she was going to do a report on Jane Fonda or something?
Yes, which by the way, I was like, oh, this also, I don't know what to think about this because like now we know her, Jane Fonda, as an icon, and she should be noted as a revolutionary. Like she was an activist. She was a protester. She is a protester. She's been arrested for speaking up for the people. Like, just exercise, which by the way, yes, she was the queen.
Yeah.
Of aerobics at that point in time and looked good doing it. Also did cause a lot of eating disorders as well because everybody thought they had to look like her or like Suzanne Summers, which is a complete lie. But I was like, oh, everybody's saying that she's not significant enough. I'm like, what? Do you know who this woman is, what she has done, and how her and her family really were revolutionaries and icons to this day and will go in history as such?
Yeah. But she was talking about her celebrity and her exercise.
I loved it. There's so many good. Then I was also thinking with this, just to throw it in here, with the technology, with the phone.
Oh, yeah.
I know you youngins don't understand when we're talking about how we would hide. And she's talking about she wanted a very long cord so that she can stretch and walk about. You don't know. This was before cordless, I believe. Yeah. Or if you did have cordless, you couldn't stray. Either A, you couldn't stray too far away or get too staticky, or B, those were expensive.
Yeah. And Stephanie would go into a pantry and stretch her legs out and have some privacy. And when I was a kid, I didn't have something like that. And it was really awkward because you'd be in the living room based on where the cord could go. You've got your parents there. You've got a guy that's called you. They're listening in on everything you're saying.
Right.
So that was I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I went to my upstairs avocado and orange wallpapered avocado sink, sat in the bathroom while I put the phone on the ironing board as I sat on the toilet telling my little boyfriend, Matt, at the time, that I loved him and hung up. Like I knew what that meant. Not that was like the third grade. But to be fair, I think I read this in the third grade. I don't think I was actually in middle school when I was reading this book specifically. But all that to say is, like, I remember that, stretching that cord in, getting that under the phone, my brother getting on the phone and telling me to get off.
Yeah.
Oh, who are you talking to? Your boyfriend?
And that's not even to mention the awkwardness of going through the person's parents when you would call them. And I had a friend who went to bed. They had like a strict 9 p.m. bedtime, and I could stay up till 10 p.m. So sometimes I would call at 9 and they'd be like, oh, they're asleep. Who's calling? And it was just so awkward.
Yes. But who is this?
Yes.
Who's speaking?
Yes. Going through the parents. Yeah.
Did you just answer, hey, hello? Or did you say, hey, this is Samantha? Or whatever?
I think I would say, hey, this is Anney.
Okay.
I think so. But could have been anything.
Again, I think it's hilarious because we talked to this Eve. I've talked to Eve about this, specifically about phone etiquette. And she loves talking on the phone, and I despise it. I'm like, if you're talking to me on the phone, and I feel like it might be a millennial thing. Maybe we've been really traumatized by the whole trying to get to guessing who it is and not want to do this because it goes, okay, bye.
I'll just hang up. This was not worth the stress.
I don't want to do this anymore. But I love talking. I love talking on the phone. I feel like growing up.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely something that we would do. I remember 3 numbers, and one of them was my good friend Cassie, who she and I would talk on the phone. 2688. I still remember her number. Her parents' number. I say this. But also she, I think, was one of the ones that was spoiled. And I say this in the loving manner because I was very jealous of her because she got her own private line.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, like, I had a best friend who was my neighbor. I actually had 2 best friends who were my neighbor, but one of us drifted apart. And at the time, you didn't have cell phones, so you would pick up your landline and hope that you could get a hold of them or just walk over. But it was, that's a new thing for a lot of young listeners.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess they didn't understand what, like, when we were grounded from the phone, we were literally like not able, not that you could literally take the cell phone away. No. Like, you were not allowed on the phone. And if you got in trouble, which our friends would, I never did. But my friends would our parents would be like, I'm sorry, she's grounded from the phone right now. She won't be able to talk to you for a week. Like,
yeah.
Got those messages. Oh, the 80s, the 90s. You heard the 90s. Shut up, don't talk to me. And of course, another big factor is family. For Stephanie, it was kind of a whole new level of family. I think it was an important conversation because this is when the divorce rate started going up. Separations, child separation, which was kind of a newer term at that point in time, started happening. And children having to learn about what divorce was. So this, again, it was fairly new. It was huge. I know in the 80s, even in the early 90s, divorces were taboo. For a lot of these little neighborhoods, and talking about it and seeing it and then having other people talk about it. It seemed fairly normal, the way that Stephanie's like parents, friends, or people her parents' age seemed to be handling it, but it wasn't. And for Stephanie to deal with that, not knowing how to understand who was at fault, there's so many things that I was like, wow, she really tried to hit on a subject that was really new, kind of.
Yeah. And it touches on a lot of things that, as a kid, you have these allegiances and the who's right, who's wrong, who is like because she was still living with her mom. So I felt like she still had a pretty clear allegiance to her mom, even though she was angry at her mom for not telling her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big deal. I remember I had a friend whose parents got divorced in high school, and she was so upset. And, you know, we had our friend group gather and try to comfort her, but it was such like a big deal. It was like, well, what's going to happen now? And what does this mean? And then talking about, do they have a girlfriend now or a boyfriend now? Or like, what does that mean?
Whose fault was this?
Yes. Why is this happening? I thought everything was fine. And they seemed like they were in love and all of those things. And I remember how difficult it was to navigate. Even as her friend, I was like, oh, that's really tough.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to remember if I had friends who had gone through divorces. I feel like a lot of the times, I don't even think I had friends that had divorced. I think it was much later when that would go down. Like, we were not in middle school. I think this was the rise of like the empty nest syndrome. Because they would wait till the kids left home before they would actually initiate divorce, if I remember correctly. Because I don't remember. I'm like going through my head of like all my little friends, and if they ever, I don't think so. And who they would have been, or they were already divorced and they were always already kind of like an outcast. Like they were like, oh, they're divorced. You know what I mean? Like it was already a thing. Such a weird thing to think about now that it's kind of normalized. I'm like, yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Well,
it's still tragic and traumatic.
Oh, yeah. And relating to that is sort of I feel like a lot of us in our friend group, well, maybe like half, did end up having parents who got separated or who got divorced or just who didn't have really good relationships. And we found out about it later after we'd gone to college or something. Hers was just, it was kind of shocking in middle school to be like, oh, whoa, I've stayed at your house. I like know your parents. This is mind blowing to me.
Yeah. And then also the way, like, again, the dad having a girlfriend. So, although I don't know how quick this was, but this seems quick. And then introducing the kids without even hello. And I was like, yeah, this is gross. Especially because it's a trial separation. I'm like, that's not divorce. That's weird.
Yeah. And also, clearly, Stephanie, at least, was very unhappy, unsettled. I completely understand why. And he knew that.
Right.
And to like have someone there that she didn't know was going to be there, that he didn't introduce to her, and then left her alone with like a whole day. I mean, admittedly, Stephanie was like, I'm not going anywhere. But still, he was like, so you'll stay with her?
Right.
It's like...
And maybe this is where because I would have been that child in that situation, obviously in that time frame. So us as adults have become a little more aware of that and are like very cautious about you don't introduce anybody until you have this and this and this and make sure your child is priority in that level of like, I don't want people coming in and out of my life and her getting attached or not attached or all these things are being cautious, caring about the co-parenting. Like that's being a big deal. I was like, maybe we learn from that. And maybe it was that generation really being like, yeah, they're a kid. They don't get a say. Which we did. We grew up that way.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I kind of felt like and I've gotten this vibe from other people in my life, but I kind of felt like he thought it would just work out. Like if he just left Stephanie and didn't, it was like with Iris was the girlfriend's name, that they would work it out and it would be fine. So I kind of felt like he was sort of skirting his he didn't want to have like a big fight, and he was hoping that Stephanie would come around.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And she's very stubborn, I have to say. Again, I understand why, but she is very like, I am mad. This is it. I shall never talk to you again.
None of you. Rightly so. Also, again, that turkey sandwich that she eats because she's so upset at everybody, it was very, like, I could see it. And I wanted a turkey sandwich. Do I like turkey sandwiches? Not necessarily. But I wanted one at that point. It's like, oh, okay, cranberry sauce? All right, you're making a hell of a sandwich. Let me have one of those. Let me have one of those. That's good. And with the family, of course, I have to bring in the whole adoption bit because, again, it was interesting because I feel like maybe I also had this mind frame. I did as a kid about like, I'm not interested in finding my biological parents and they are my family and they're great, all these things and that level, like we're a perfect family. There's nothing wrong with us. This is exactly what it should be. And then really kind of like away from like being in that conversation, like, how do you feel about this? Do you remember anything? Do you miss your, like your biological father, or do you want to find them? And her being flippant, like, no, whatever. And then that kind of being the end of the conversation about how you're so loved. I've never seen anyone more loved than you. And I'm like, that's very glossy outlook. And it kind of was, again, it was a pretty big trend in the 80s, 90s to adopt Asian kids or kids of other races internationally. It became a kind of a fad, for all this intents and purposes. But with that, like not glamorizing it, but also seeing it as like a charity thing. Also, this was a famous like movie star or actress who had done this, and so obviously they're going to be fine, and she's going to be so spoiled. All these things. It was an interesting take because it definitely was. It did mirror what I felt like I should have been. But then at the same time, I was also the youngest of 4 and the 3 older ones were biological. So I did not have that interaction of like, I was chosen because they couldn't have kids type of conversation. But I did find that interesting as well as the pregnancy bit, her being like, this is a miracle baby. What are you going to do? You're going to be in your 50s when this kid is my age, all these things. And I'm like, oh, recently we just had more reports about the fact that more and more people are having kids later and later in life. And that's kind of getting to be the norm. Interesting take.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, the like last 20 pages of the book packs in so much. I remember looking at like, there's a lot to be resolved here and like this much left. So you get this panicked Allison showing up at Stephanie's house and being like, I'm going to go find my biological parents. They're going to have this kid. It's going to be their biological kid. And they're not going to love me anymore. And having those deep conversations and going to your friends for it, I really appreciated. But then Allison gets really sick with the flu. And so I'm kind of like, she says, oh, it's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. But it was a very quick resolution, I suppose. And then the same thing kind of happened with Rachel and Stephanie's fight, which I thought was very sweet because it mirrored where they would walk each other back home over and over jokingly. That happened in the beginning. Yeah. But it was also kind of like, oh, it's over. And then the dad's moving back. This all happened very quickly. It does.
It happens very, it squishes together, which I feel like happens in a lot of stories. I will say once again, this is a part of a Best Friends series, but there's only 2 books. The ones I already mentioned, Just As Long As We're Together, and Here's to You, Rachel Robinson, which I guess, that was published in 1993. So it was good, like 6-7 years after the first book. So maybe they have a better resolution on that one.
I'm not upset at the resolution. I'm just saying like there's a lot
was intense.
that happens in the last like 20 pages.
It wraps up very quickly. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think it's funny because it is those 2. I'm not really sure what happens with Rachel Robinson. Like I said, I never read that. If this was published in 1993, I don't know why I didn't read it. It feels like I would have read it, but I didn't. I was going on to Gone with the Wind at this point. Les Mis. Les Mis actually was what became one of my favorite books in the 6th, 7th grade. So I'm an oddball.
You needed those points.
I got to have them points. Y'all don't understand. I cannot believe I read Tolstoy. Did it make sense to me? No. Anna Karenina scarred me. And I was like, why? Why did I just read this?
Yeah, there are plenty of books that I was like taking the test and just like, I don't know. I read it, but I couldn't understand it. So I'm taking my best guess.
I couldn't even pronounce Les Mis. I was like, Les Miserable. And they're like, Les Miserable. I was like, yeah, that. Les Mis, whatever. I remember when I was trying to talk about it as a book report. I'm like, I'm going to fight you. Anyway, But yes, that is all. Like, there's so much more. Again, like I said, this is one of those books that really left a huge impact. I forgot a lot about it because it's been years since I've read it, but I loved the book. I felt for the first time there was a little bit of representation for me to cling to, even though she wasn't the protagonist, she wasn't necessarily the main character. But she was friend of a friend group that was normalized, that wasn't seen as a caricature of anything. Maybe the giggly bit, I feel like was very stereotypical, but whatever. All that to say, like, it felt nice to have this, as well as like the friends coming through and understanding like the growth of friendship or the loss of friendship, and it being what it is, and understanding you can have more than one best friend. You can have more than one best friend.
You can. And I recommend it.
Yes, agreed. Anney, thank you for coming on this memory lane for me. It was nostalgic.
It was nice. I enjoyed it. I'm loving that August tends to be the month where we do something kind of lighter.
Yeah.
We do childhood favorites, or we do kind of geeky rom-coms or something like that. I'm enjoying this trend. I think we should keep it up.
We got to keep it with around your birthday, and then also with the fact that Dragon Con's coming. We have no choice but to keep it a little lighter. There's too much happening.
That's true. Because I have to take some days off, listeners, if you don't know.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes, and then, Labor Day
As
also.
You should. Yeah, that too, sure.
Of course. Well, listeners, we would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts on this. If you've never read it and are from a younger generation, I would love for you to go read it and then report back.
Come talk to us about it.
That would be amazing. And any recommendations are always welcome. You can email us at hello@stuffInevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast, or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
Thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.